Hello, my name is Caleb Smith with the Rocket Miner newspaper, and I'm here to provide an update for September 28th, 2020. Now, I've been thinking about timelines and milestones today, because by the reckoning of the Wyoming Department of Health, we've now had 200 days of the coronavirus being known to be in Wyoming. And I've just kind of been thinking about something this afternoon about what have we learned over those last couple of months? What do we know now that we didn't know then? What's changed in our outlooks, perspectives, expectations, our behavior? There are some good things. After all these months, doctors, nurses, both in America and abroad, are getting better at treating this. We're seeing some lines of treatment be effective. We found some lines that we've spent some time and money on that, from what we can tell right now, don't seem to be as effective as we'd hoped, and we're pouring our attention into other things, hopefully more successful ones. We're also seeing that it certainly got a lot more widespread than what we hoped it would. Going back to March, I remember when I was sitting in the Broadway Theater with a number of other representatives, business owners from downtown Rock Springs, talking about the summer outlook. And one of the things said in that meeting was the fact that they were expecting that, okay, worst case scenario, we think that no later than the end of June, maybe even early July, we'll have this thing licked under control. We'll have things mostly back to normal. And man, I wish that was right. One of the things we've been learning about ourselves is to see what governments, schools, businesses do in the light of a widespread pandemic. What happens when orders are down? And like I said, we're seeing how communities respond. Smaller groups, even individuals. What happens when there's recommended or required health guidelines? What do people follow? What do people push back against? What are you individually doing when it comes to these choices and decisions that have to be made on a regular basis? And one of the other things that's apparent is that this is going to take a while longer. Even if immediately after this video is posted, if it is announced that a vaccine is been proven and effective and safe within the parameters that have already been announced and we've previously discussed, it's going to take months for it to be produced in mass quantities and distributed across the country. It's going to take a while especially it'll take even longer if it's, as it is, as some say it's likely to be a multiple dose, where you have to get more than one shot, maybe one followed by a booster. If it doesn't just straight up become like a seasonal shot like we do the flu. That will take time to, like I said, make it, send it, and like I said, just get everybody lined up and getting these things. It's not just something that we can just post it in the mail and it can sit in the mailbox. From what we can tell, some of these have very specific guidelines about temperatures and administration, and these things will be shaped out. And even then, we know that with the rollout being slow, we also know that a certain number of people have declared that they're uncomfortable getting it's early version of the vaccine. They'd rather wait, maybe for a later version. I see where those concerns come from. I've been debating it myself, and I think that I'm inclined to try to get one early, just so I can do my part for others. I know everybody's going to have to make their individual decision on that. But with a certain percentage of the population not opting for the vaccine, and honestly, the benchmark that's been set for the U.S. COVID-19 vaccine is supposed to be at least 50%. That means at least for 50% of the population, it wouldn't necessarily do anything. And that means that even if one is available and distributed to the public, which by some accounts could take at least a year, and that's if we get something in hand quickly, that even after that period, we're still told to expect a continuing unknown amount of time where we'd still be encouraged to be wearing masks, doing distancing, doing this additional cleaning and consideration. That's harsh. It's been weighing upon me, especially the last couple of days, thinking about how the open-ended nature is something that messes with your head. Going back to that workshop, one thing I do give credit for is that they talked about, back in March, expressing a reluctance to just straight up cancel events. They said that when it comes to a public, from a psychological standpoint, it'd be better if you just keep pushing it back, postponing it, than rescheduling it. They said it even didn't matter if you rescheduled it multiple times in a row. It's encouraging to know that it's still being, that we're still planning on it. We're still counting on it. Logistically, there are some things that we've had to leave behind this year, this past school year, some of the summer traditions, and it remains to be seen what will be going into the fall, the winter, and 2021. We're having to draw upon more resilience than what many of us originally expected, certainly more than what I was expecting and hoping for. And we don't know how much longer it's going to have to be. That's why it's important for us to keep communicating with each other, working to make sure that people don't feel isolated, working to make sure that people feel supported. And when you can, expressing thanks along the way. Just looking at the statewide numbers today, the number of active cases in Wyoming is at 1,091. That's about an increase of 27 compared to Sunday. There were 117 new lab-confirmed cases spread across 16 counties, but that was offset by 94 recoveries. When it comes to active cases, Sweetwater County is in a pretty good spot. There are only 10 known active cases in Sweetwater County right now. It's much higher in Albany County, which has the most with 230, and other hot spots in the state right now, including Natrona County with 154 active cases, Fremont County with 98, Campbell County with 85, Laramie County with 82, Sheridan County with 80. Overall, when you're counting lab-confirmed cases with probable cases, cases where people had some symptoms and contact but just no positive test result, probably because they didn't get the test, we're now up to 5,754 people, of which that amount, 4,613 have recovered. Nationally, Centers for Disease Control saying is that we're right around 204,000 deaths. And we've surpassed 7 million cases. Over the last 7 days, they're reporting that in the United States there were 310,000 new cases. Globally, depending on which tracker you're using, we're right at 1 million deaths, or 1 million people who are no longer with us compared to the start of the coronavirus. That's out of 33 million cases globally. And if you look at the recovery number, at least nearly 23 million people have recovered. So that leaves just about 10 million known active cases worldwide. I wish I could tell you a specific date when this would be over. I suppose I could, but I'd be lying. I don't want to do that to you. We keep trying to give you the best possible information as we can. We're thankful that we're seeing some things borne out. Some of the guidelines have been tweaked. It's interesting to see how, yes, masks were discouraged early on, but very quickly that guideline changed. And honestly, that's one reason why some health officials, particularly those in Wyoming, are saying we're seeing low cases, particularly those in schools. It's been noted that no Wyoming school districts had to close due to coronavirus, though there have been some pop-up in cases. And Sweetwater County, a Rock Springs High School student was reported testing positive over the weekend. That's just 2 cases known in Sweetwater County School District number 1. Previously, we heard of a Green River High School student in Sweetwater County School District number 2 testing positive. According to the Western Wyoming Community College's COVID tracker. They haven't had any positive cases, which is a good thing. But one of the things this is being attributed to is that the wearing of masks when distancing of at least 6 feet can't be achieved. The state guidelines have been updated saying that if there's a student that tests positive in a class, previously the guideline was everybody in the class is going to be quarantined, and we certainly saw that in a Head Start class and in Green River High School. The new guidelines that were announced this past Thursday is that we're going to, if the students have been wearing masks, then there won't be a overall quarantine. They'll be watching those students and staff much more closely, I grant you that, but it's not an automatic you have to be staying out of classroom for the next 2 weeks that it was before. And we'll see what other health guidelines are tweaked later this week. The Governor Mark Gordon announced that they plan to revisit those no later than October 1st. He expressed a hope to be able to release some conditions, particularly when it comes to restaurants. That remains to be seen when you see at the fact that statewide we're up in a number of categories. We're hopeful that the trends flatten out, decline, and eventually reach zero. We're a bit of ways removed from that. And I'm hopeful that everybody continues to be considerate and keep their guard up. We're blessed in Sweetwater County. We know that already. We know that. I hope most of you all are saying thanks for that already. But we have to remain vigilant. I don't want anybody to be scared. I don't want anybody to feel paralyzed. But I want you to be on your guard, because there are some places in the United States and elsewhere in the world where it's bad right now. And it doesn't take too many people making poor choices for that to grow by an exponential rate. Anyway, we want you to be safe. I'm hopeful that there won't be too many of these big milestones. I'm hopeful that maybe we can get to maybe 300, 400 days and we won't make a big deal about it, just because numbers will stay low and generally under control. That's going to take continued work on everybody's part. Anyway, my name is Caleb Smith with the Rocket Miner newspaper, wishing you a good day and a safe tomorrow. Bye.